Hello again, everybody. Here we go with page 2. Page 2 of your notes is where you should be. Multiplying and dividing integers. I think what I'm going to do is just do this page in one video and then do another one for the next page. This is the multiplication page, and the one that follows this is division, and I just think it would fit a little better in the time. So let's get rolling here. Please make sure to get everything down that I get down. This is an important page. There's some tricky things that happen down here at the bottom. I want to make sure we're all together. So on the last video, you went through all these rules of signs. You learned that if the signs are the same, when you multiply, it's positive. If they're different signs, it's negative. So what you should do when you multiply is you should determine what the sign is before you even multiply. Here I have a negative times a positive. So I'm already thinking that's a negative answer. Then you just multiply the absolute values. 6 times 7, 42. So the answer to that product is negative 42. This question right here, I want this down, please. That means negative 5 times negative 8. I'd like you to write that for that problem. That's not a subtraction problem. That's a multiply because the 5 is touching the parenthesis. So negative 5 times negative 8, a negative times a negative equals a positive. So you just multiply 5 times 8, 40. This problem right here, that means 8 times negative 3 times negative 5. So what we want to do here is one piece at a time. 8 times negative 3, that's a positive times a negative. That's a negative 24 times negative 5. So now you have a negative times a negative, which is a positive, and you multiply those two numbers. 24 times 5 is 120. And you have it. Question number 4 says negative 2 times negative 9 times negative 5. Again, the reason it's subtraction is because the way the parentheses are set up there. So if I multiply that, just go left to right. Negative times negative is positive 18 times negative 5. Now you have a positive times a negative, 18 times 5. So determine that it's negative. 18 times 5 is 90. And you got it. So this is really all about understanding and using those rules of multiplication. Let's take a look at number 5 and see how we can apply this to a problem. Mr. Hepner bought lunch with his debit card every day for 5 days. That's important right there, so underline or highlight 5 days. Each day he spent $8. So in other words, they took $8 out of his account for 5 days. If these were his only transactions, what was the change in his account balance? Write a multiplication expression. Okay, this is asking you to do something right here, so you need to do that. All right, so here's what we know. 5 days, he loses $8. Or maybe spends would be a better way to say that. So he takes away $8 5 days in a row. So the multiplication expression would be 5 because it's 5 days times negative 8 because he lost $8 5 days in a row. So if we multiply 5 times negative 8, the overall amount that he spends was negative $40. So it says find and interpret the product. In other words, tell me what this is. He spent $40 in 5 days. The end for that. Okay, let's move on down then to number 6. It says simplify each expression. Okay, now you notice something a little different here. You have negative 2 times 9 times m. All that means is this. Please write this down. I'm going to be looking for it. Negative 2 times 9 times m. Okay, it's just these three things being multiplied. Well, since we don't know what m is, we can go ahead and multiply the numbers. Negative 2 times 9 is negative 18. And that's all we can do to simplify that. We're just taking the expression and making it more simple. So you multiply the numbers and then you just put the variables together because when they're touching, it means to multiply. Take a look at 7. Negative 3 times a times 7 times b. All this means is you have those four things multiplied. Negative 3 dot a, because it's times a, dot 7 dot b. That's the same thing. It's the same. So we can commute. We can do the commutative property and write it like this. Remember the commutative property, how I can change the location from chapter 1? Now look what we have here. We can multiply the numbers. Negative 3 times 7 is negative because it's a negative times a positive. 21 times A times B. And the way we write this in algebra, and this is how I'd like you to start, is just negative 21 AB. It means multiply when there's no sign for an operation in between. Numbers 8 is the exact same way. This means negative 6, write it down like this please, times E times negative 4 times F. Commute, change them around so that the numbers are next to each other. And then multiply. Negative times negative is positive 24, E, F. And we have it. We're almost done with this video. Hope you're keeping up. Let's look down at number 9. Number 9, it says evaluate each expression. Okay, remember what evaluate from chapter 1? That means to just turn it into a number. You have 8j, that means 8 times j. Okay, but then they say j is negative 11, so it means 8 times negative 11. You just substitute that value in there. Positive times a negative is negative, in this case, 88. And then the last one, number 10, and then we're going to stop this video, and it's going to be a short one too. That's good news. Negative 9 times c times d if c is negative 3 and d is negative 7. So all these things are multiplied here. Again, nothing in between, multiply. So you have negative 9 times negative 3 times negative 7. Then you just do them like the questions at the top of your page, up there where we had 3 steps. Multiply these two. Negative times negative is positive. 27 times negative 7. Now 27 times negative 7, that's a negative 189. There you go, under 7.5 minutes for that page. Good job. Okay, turn it over and we'll get started on division in the next video.